I know you might already understand this, but as your mother-in-law, I'm going to properly raise you as a wife. Thank you. On the first day of living with my mother-in-law, my husband, Sam, wasn't home because of work, but I quickly experienced what could be considered a rite of passage from her. It might be what you'd call hazing a daughter-in-law. Do you think this is cleaned? Start over from scratch. Huh? I mopped thoroughly, was it not okay? To think you don't work and can't even manage household chores properly. What does that say about you as a woman? That Sam chose such a woman as a marriage partner shows he has no taste in women. I never imagined being told something like this when I first got married. It's not like I wanted to be best friends with my mother-in-law, nor did I expect us to become like buddies just because we lived together. However, being insulted to this extent made me wonder if we could continue to live together, which brought on a lot of anxiety. Our relationship was at its worst on the first day, but I tried my best to not let it bother me. Months went by in this manner, and although my relationship with my mother-in-law hadn't improved, I had developed a habit of letting her complaints go in one ear and out the other, so it wasn't becoming a big issue. Can I have a moment? Yes, what is it? Have you heard about the divorce? Are you talking about John? I heard about it from Sam yesterday, but what happened? She was done being a wife. I had to kick her out. And you'll be heading out the same way. Her gaze was full of disdain. This is ridiculous, not just the issue with John's wife, but I couldn't let this go on any longer. Thinking this, I immediately started preparing to leave. My name is Ava. I'm currently a freelance designer. Ever since I was a child, I loved drawing and illustrating books, and I studied design on my own in high school. After that, I got a job at a design company and started freelancing on the side. Once I was able to make a living from my freelance work, I went independent. How about this? It's fantastic! Your character designs are truly amazing, Ava. I'm looking forward to working with you more in the future. Thank you. I haven't found anywhere else that appreciates my work as much as you do. Being a freelancer, I was of course confident in my designs. It seems my work is particularly suited for games and mascots, and by a few years into my independence, I was in high demand. Of course, for someone freelancing like me, this was a dream come true, and I was working hard to make sure each job led to the next one. For a while after going independent, my private life was practically non-existent as I focused solely on work, but recently things had started to settle down, and I had met a guy with whom I had a good relationship. Good work today. Since we have a long weekend starting tomorrow, let's really go out and drink tonight. That sounds great. He was the representative from the first company I contracted with after becoming freelance. We got to know each other through work, and now we go out for meals once a week. Going out to eat with a man was a rare opportunity for me, who had been focused solely on work, and since becoming freelance, the number of friends I could easily invite out for drinks had decreased, so these meals became the highlight of my week. Whenever he was too busy to make it, I felt a tightness in my heart, leading me to wonder if I was falling for him. Thanks for sticking around so late today. Thanks for bringing me to a place with such a beautiful view of the ocean. I didn't know it existed. Yeah. Next time I come here, I'd like to bring someone special. Huh? I'd like you to be my girlfriend. After dinner, he took me to a place with a beautiful night view, something I hadn't expected at all. Having little experience with women, I had never been on such a romantic date before, so his confession took me by surprise, but I immediately felt warmth spreading through the depths of my heart. Are you sure about me? It's because it's you that I want to be with. You're the only one for me. Lately, I've been really serious about that. How can someone say such embarrassing things face to face? I must have been blushing, but I was truly happy. I couldn't look him in the eyes, but I nodded in response. Becoming his girlfriend marked the beginning of truly happy days for us. After a year of dating, we decided to get married. To make the marriage official, I went to meet my mother-in-law, Ava. I look forward to getting along with you. You're not as pretty as I expected. A bit of a letdown. Hey, Mom! Well, if you two want to get married, go ahead, I guess. It seems Sam grew up in a single-parent household after his parents divorced when he was young. So, it was just his mom for the marriage introduction. I wonder if she's opposed to our marriage? Maybe she's just worried about feeling lonely once Sam and I get married, since she's been on her own. I didn't think too much of it at the time. But looking back, I should have realized her true nature then. However, clueless as I was, Sam and I went ahead with our wedding and started our married life. This house is pretty spacious. Should we settle here? We wanted kids in the future, and I wanted my own workspace separate from our living area. Plus, with our love for outdoor activities like barbecues, we ended up buying a house with a yard in the city. Our mortgage was about $10,000 a month, but my income alone covered that, and we had Sam's salary as well, so it wasn't a problem. But then one day, "Ava, can we talk?" "What's up?" "Well, my mom said she wants to live with us. When I told her we bought a new house, she said it's so big that she should live with us too. She's saying living alone at her age is getting scary." I see. I had thought this might happen since she lived alone, but I didn't expect her to move in with us so soon after we got married. Honestly, my mother-in-law hadn't taken to me much, and Sam and I had planned to live just the two of us for the first few years of marriage. If I made a fuss now, it could affect my relationship with my mother-in-law later. Plus, the house was big enough, so it might be okay. I wasn't thrilled, but I agreed to live with my mother-in-law. I know you might already understand this, but as your mother-in-law, I'm going to properly raise you as a wife. Thank you. The first day of living with my mother-in-law began. Sam wasn't home because of work, but I quickly experienced what could be considered a rite of passage from her. It might be what you'd call hazing a daughter-in-law. "Do you think this is cleaned? Start over from scratch." "Huh? I mopped thoroughly, was it not okay? To think you don't work and can't even manage household chores properly. What does that say about you as a woman? That Sam chose such a woman as a marriage partner shows he has no taste in women. I never imagined being told something like this when I first got married. It's not like I wanted to be best friends with my mother-in-law, nor did I expect us to become like buddies just because we lived together. However, being insulted to this extent made me wonder if we could continue to live together, which brought on a lot of anxiety. Knowing it was pointless to argue with my mother-in-law, who clearly looked down on me, I decided to talk to Sam when he got back. "Why does your mom hate me so much? I don't think I've done anything to be disliked to this extent." "Yeah, I know. I'll talk to her too. It's not fair to you, Ava." Sam said he would speak with her, but would it really change my mother-in-law's attitude? If a simple talk from Sam could solve this, she wouldn't have started this harassment in the first place. But, holding on to a sliver of hope, I went to bed that night. The next morning, I didn't talk to my mother-in-law, but once Sam went to work, she came to me saying, "So, you went and complained to Sam yesterday?" I didn't complain, I just told him how I felt. "I'm just trying to guide you because I care. And yet, you make it seem like I'm the villain, as if you've done nothing wrong." "I'm sorry. It's just that your way of saying things is a bit harsh. Being a wife isn't about being coddled. You should think more about how you conduct yourself." She stormed off to her room after that, and I was left feeling incredibly frustrated. Sure, I may not be the best at household chores. And maybe I'm not living up to her expectations. But we're not living in her house, she's living in ours. Even if my chores aren't up to her standards, it's odd for her to complain. Maybe she's trying to teach me, but she could definitely be nicer about it. She talks as if she's superior in every way, adding unnecessary comments. It's just not acceptable. Even when Sam tries to talk sense into her, she doesn't listen and just gets defensive. Expecting anything to change is futile. That's why I've decided to keep to myself. Ignoring her seems to be the best solution. So, when she said she wanted seafood pasta for lunch and suggested I make them because it's a waste of money to buy, I was taken aback. "Pasta? I'm sorry, cooking isn't my strong suit. How about we order something?" "What? You can't even make something as simple as that? You're hopeless as a woman." Can't do chores, can't cook. What can you actually do? You're not even that pretty or have a great figure. It's just disappointing. Her disdain doesn't affect me. If she wants to look down on me, so be it. And seafood pasta is simple? If it's that easy, she should make it herself. I'm busy with work and chores, I don't have time to cater to her. We're letting her live in this big house thanks to us, and she can't even bother to make her own meals or help out with chores. But arguing is just a waste of time. I figured it's better to let her vent and return to her room if it makes her feel better. By the second day, our relationship was at its worst, but I was determined not to waste my time on her. Months went by, and although my relationship with my mother-in-law hadn't improved, I had learned to let her complaints go in one ear and out the other, so it wasn't a major issue anymore. Ava, did you hear that John got divorced? I don't know the details, but it's shocking. Really? They just got married. I wonder what happened. I haven't talked to John directly yet, but it seems like there was definitely some issue. Hearing about Sam's brother, John, and his wife's divorce was a surprise. They seemed like such a happy couple. It was shocking because they were newlyweds and we had all gotten along so well. There must have been something going on between them, but it's not our place to pry if they don't want to talk about it. I didn't want to meddle too much in other people's private matters, but it left me feeling uneasy. I couldn't help but wonder what would happen if Sam and I ever ran into problems. No, I shouldn't think like that. I had promised myself when we got married that we would overcome any challenges together. The news of John's divorce made me anxious, but it also reaffirmed my commitment to work on our marriage. But then the next day. Can we talk? Yes, what's up? Did you hear about the divorce? You mean John? Sam told me yesterday, but what happened? She was a failure as a wife, so I had to let her go. What? I was shocked. Let her go. Could she really mean that? Given how she treated me, it wasn't a stretch to imagine she'd treated John's wife similarly. But to think she was bullying her just like she did with me. I had been letting her comments slide off me, not letting them get to me too much. So, I was okay, but she wasn't as strong. After getting married, she had been working part-time, and I remember she confided in me about how much she struggled with her boss. From then, I knew she wasn't mentally strong, but my mother-in-law preyed on her vulnerability. Unforgivable. Do you even understand what you've done? I haven't done anything wrong. She divorced on her own, I have nothing to do with it. Did it ever occur to you that you pushed her to her limit? I don't know anything about that. It's not my problem. Besides, a woman like her, leaving was for the best. I feel sorry for my poor sons. That was the last straw for me. What does she mean by a woman like her? She was a devoted wife to John, a true homemaker. She even insisted on earning her own money for personal expenses, a perfect example of a good wife. Calling her a vixen is absurd. And then, my mother-in-law said she felt sorry for her poor sons. Referring not just to John but to my husband, Sam, as well. As if marrying me was something pitiful for Sam. So, you're saying marrying me was pitiful? Exactly. He could have married someone much better than a failure of a wife like you. I think he should divorce you quickly. Her true colors showed. But it was good in a way. If she's going to be this clear about it, I don't need to waste any more time with her. I don't know how Sam will react to this. Maybe he'll side with his mother over me. But even if that happens, I can't live with my mother-in-law any longer. I've decided, even if I have to leave alone, I'm leaving this house. So, you want me to leave too? Yes. It makes things easier for me. Since the eldest is coming back home after his divorce, why don't you just divorce and leave as well? Fine, I'll leave. But she doesn't understand anything. I always finished my chores by noon and stayed in my office to avoid her. She believes a woman shouldn't work but be a housewife dedicated to her husband and home. My mother-in-law held these outdated beliefs, so I never told her about my job. She had no idea who was paying the mortgage for the house we were living in. All right. I'll start looking for a place and leave as soon as possible. I contacted a real estate agent immediately. I was thinking of buying a property for investment, so moving out quickly was easy. I packed my things and moved to a high-rise condo in the city, with a rent similar to our house, $10,000 a month. Sam knew all about this plan, and it was agreed I'd move out alone for now. Living alone again felt refreshing. Not that I was tired of my marriage, but getting away from the tense atmosphere at home was genuinely appealing. Plus, the condo had a cafe and a gym, making work and life more comfortable. I should have made this move sooner. A week later, Sam called, "Can we meet sometime this week? If you're free, I'd like you to come over." I didn't want to return to that house and face my mother-in-law again. But I couldn't let her go unchecked, and I felt I needed to settle things properly. So, on that Saturday, I went back to the house where Sam and my mother-in-law were waiting. "It's been a while. I'm sorry." As soon as I entered, my mother-in-law, looking completely worn out, apologized. What happened in this short period? I never imagined she would apologize after being so arrogant and cruel to me. "Sorry? I don't understand why you're apologizing all of a sudden. Let's sit in the living room and talk it out," Sam suggested, leading me there. But I was confused. Talk it out with whom? Just me, Sam, and his mother? Who else was there? She had mentioned her eldest son coming back, so maybe John was there too. "Why are you here?" Reaching the living room, I was surprised to find John and his wife. Or rather, his ex-wife. I thought they had divorced, so why were they at our house? Especially after my mother-in-law had essentially forced her out, I assumed she'd never want to see her face again. "What's going on?" "We couldn't just let her do whatever she wants anymore," she said firmly, glaring at my mother-in-law. After the divorce, she must have been devastated, but over time, anger and resentment towards my mother-in-law grew. That's probably why my mother-in-law is cowering in front of John's ex-wife, who's glaring at her. "Hold on, I have no idea what's going on." "Well, we've decided to have a family discussion about what to do with this unbearable burden." Sam said that, and everyone looked at my mother-in-law as if they had planned this intervention from the start. When I decided to move out, Sam was entirely on my side. So, when he said there was something we needed to talk about at home, I thought it was about kicking my mother-in-law out. "What's this about?" "It's simple, really. We decided to cut ties with her for good. That's it." "Cut ties?" "I think she won't understand the magnitude of her actions unless we do this. And frankly, I don't want to spend any more money on someone who indulges in her selfishness and ruins people's lives. We don't need someone like that, right?" Sam said this firmly, glaring at my mother-in-law, who shriveled up completely. I had never seen Sam so direct before, and it surprised me a bit. He's usually quiet and dislikes conflict. Seeing him this angry at my mother-in-law must mean he's really furious with her. Well, considering what she did to me and how she pushed John's wife to the point of divorce, she deserves this anger. "So, what are we going to do?" "I'm truly sorry. Please forgive me." "Stop joking around. Do you know how much you've hurt me? And now you're asking for forgiveness? That's so shameless. Don't underestimate people. You drove her to a mental breakdown, leading to her fleeing and divorcing. You think we can just forgive you for that?" John and his anger seemed quite intense. But I wasn't fully aware of the details of their divorce turmoil. Did my mother-in-law bully John's wife into leaving and divorcing, just like she did to me? What exactly did you do? Explain it in your own words. "Well, that's... out with it. All the malicious things you've done to me. Coming over unannounced, ruining the food with too much salt, stealing the birthday present my husband gave me. How miserable you made me feel." Seriously? I had no idea she was doing such spiteful things. I thought the harassment I faced was bad. But what she did to her was on another level of malice. I had no idea you were capable of such terrible actions. What exactly is it about us that you dislike? "It's just... I felt like you were taking my sons away from me." "Taking us away? Cut it out already. What do you mean taking away? We're not your possessions. Stop treating people like objects. I didn't mean it like that. Of course. My mother-in-law was just trying to get her way. Her children are adults who are married. How long does she plan to treat them like kids? It's fine. Please just leave this house. That's my request. Now that you're disliked by everyone here, it's too late for anything else, right? Don't say that. I'm trying to change. Please forgive me. Forgive you? After you drove your own child to divorce, you think it's a bit too convenient to ask for forgiveness? When I said that, my mother-in-law fell silent. If she was going to be quiet, she shouldn't have argued in the first place. It seems like she really wants my forgiveness, but she's forgetting something important. Do you even know who's paying the mortgage for this house? It's not Sam, it's Ava who's been paying. You thought she was just a housewife, but that's not the case. Really? That can't be true. Of course. My mother-in-law had no idea I was working and earning money, let alone paying the mortgage for our large house. Yet, she acted as if she was the most important person here. As a human being, she's completely finished. If I had known she was like this, I never would have agreed to live with her in the first place. But now, no apology can change how I feel. No matter what you say, my feelings won't change. Please leave. I won't do anything for you anymore. Don't say that. I really am reflecting on my actions. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm saying I want to completely sever ties with you. Do you understand what I'm saying? Her last-ditch efforts are futile. My feelings won't change no matter what is said. If I'm kicked out of this house, how am I supposed to live? I have no money and no husband. Please, don't abandon me. Do you not understand what you've done? It's not like that. I really am reflecting on my actions. You've done something unforgivable. You should first realize that, and as I said before, no matter what you say, my feelings won't change. You might suffer from now on, but that's all due to your own doing. Live with the regret of your actions. When I firmly said that, my mother-in-law slumped down onto the floor. I feel slightly sorry for her, but this is all a consequence of her own actions. There are victims beyond myself, and I cannot let her go unchecked. One must take responsibility for their actions. That's common sense in society. Why don't you guys say something? Your own mother, and you're not defending her at all? Why should I defend someone who ruined my life? I agree with that. It was only because Ava is mentally strong that our marriage didn't end up in shambles. How could I possibly defend someone like that? It must have been her last hope, but she needs to accept that she has no allies left. Then, led by my husband and John, my mother-in-law quickly started packing her things. Apparently, she could stay in an apartment owned by a friend of John's, and he agreed to take care of her financially for the first month. The idea is that she should find a job within that month and start taking care of herself. I immediately terminated my lease on the condo and resumed living with my husband in the house now free of my mother-in-law. I'm sorry I couldn't do anything until it came to this. But it's going to be okay from now on. Well, I'm fine, but pushing her to divorce seems a bit much. Well, both I and my brother have decided not to look after our mother anymore. She'll probably regret her actions now, but that's not our concern anymore. I didn't want to trouble my husband, and since he cared for his mother, I kept silent about some things to be considerate. But if I knew he'd stand up for me like this, I should have spoken up sooner. But, are you sure about this decision? She's alone now, and if something happens... I truly value family, and there's nothing more important than that. But she's no longer part of my family, so there's no need to worry. No longer part of the family. For my kind husband to say that, it's serious. Considering what she's done, it's a natural outcome. And I'm grateful he's been so decisive. If there's any lingering issue with my mother-in-law, it might cause problems in the future, especially if we start our own family. I don't want her interfering in our lives. Let her live with the consequences of her actions alone. That's her atonement. Meanwhile, I continue working as a designer, living a fulfilling life. Sure, there are ups and downs. And even as a successful designer, I face slumps and disagreements with clients. But being happy despite these challenges is thanks to my husband's support. Family isn't just about financial or legal support. It's about how much you can support each other emotionally. Pushing one's desires onto others isn't what family is about. It's about respecting each other more than anyone else. As we'll be together forever, my husband becomes an irreplaceable part of my life. That's why I'll continue to cherish him, vowing never to become like my mother-in-law. That's what I believe a family should be.